Yeah, all right. It is 8:30. Let's get started. Good morning, everybody,
Shannon.
and welcome. Do we have any public comments?
I do. Tom, congratulations.
Thank you.
I saw a picture. Tom's a father again.
Okay.
Congratulations. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Any public comments? Any public comments?
Oh, okay.
All right. First thing on our agenda, acknowledge minutes.
So moved.
Second.
All right, and this is from August 19th. We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Morning, Plain County Engineer.
Good morning, Supervisors. Don't have anything big to report.
Good morning, Abby.
Do we know what time they meeting starts, Abby?
Yes, it's the first.
Hello, this is Pot.
Abby, you're just fine.
Oh, that's my bad.
Last week was relatively quiet, and uneventful. We did get the quotes in, or the bids from the DOT for the Libertyville Road Bridge project. The award of which is on the agenda a bit later. Our engineer's estimate was just short of 2.7 million, and our low bid was $2,065,000. So
Good job.
I would like to say that was all due to my great engineering, but really I had nothing to do with it. So it's a good market right now. It's a great, with the help of Calhoun Burns, we've got the proposal in the letting at the right time to get favorable quote. Really, the long, short, and sideways of it. Iowa Bridge and Culvert was the low bidder. They had the DBE goal correct, and everybody else was considerably higher. So we've done a lot of work with them. So as a department, we're really happy with it. So we hope to, with your approval here later on, we'll get the ball rolling on that so they can get started, hopefully late October. Other than that, we're grading roads, spreading rock, spending money like it's water, that's kind of how we roll. Okay, not. We ask Melissa every morning if we can buy some rock, and she lets us know that we can. So, on our budget, our equipment budget, we have purchased the tractor and belly dump trailer that we had planned. We will probably in a month or so start shopping hard for a mini excavator. I think we've got $50,000 right in that area budgeted for that. And we have some blow ups on the edges of 146 and Juniper from the truck traffic running close to the edge. They're kind of pushing the edge of this chip seal out, and the mini excavator would be the perfect piece of equipment for repairing that, because it has a wide footprint to spread any of the impact, the weight of the machine, so you don't cause additional damage while you're doing the repair work. So probably not September, but early October I will be.
So that's next on your list.
That's next on our list. We just want to make sure we build up some reserve in our budget
Sure.
before we go and shell out 50 grand in one month. Other than that, I don't have anything. We're just doing what we do.
So I got a call over the weekend. Actually it's probably right, but I didn't get to it till the weekend. We've had this conversation before, and I don't know whether this is actually in the right of way or not, but this is Heritage property out west of Fairfield.
Oh, yeah, he's right on the edge of it. He pushes right up to his limit and then a little bit beyond. We'll go give it an eyeball again.
Okay. And if if he's not responding to us, I guess then we can bring the sheriff's office down to it. I think the only thing that is the concern is, if I know it's your concern too, somebody comes speed bopping down that road at 100 miles an hour.
Yeah, and we're aware of it, and if we don't do anything about it, then we're liable. So
All right.
I will get my cheerful, efficient office staff on it.
Well, efficient anyway, whether it's cheerful talking to him is another question.
You already talked about the bids.
Yes.
So discuss and consider award of contract for Libertyville Road Bridge Construction Project BRS-C051, parent 72, long dash 60, short dash 51.
Yes.
To low bidder Iowa Bridge and Culvert LC. And the amount? $2,065.11.
65,000.
65,000. Thank you, and $11.
Baby's difference. There's not that much. So is any of this, oh, that's that grant money?
That's that grant money. So we have $2 million grant from up to a $2 million grant. And then they'll back it out that we're still responsible, county itself is responsible for 20% of that, but that is through state bridge funds. So actually, there is no farm to market or local money being used for this.
And you've done a really good job of getting grants since you've been here, so thank you.
Again, I would love to claim credit for that, but that was basically the 10th worst bridge in the state. So that was the only thing we did was we were smart enough to check their math on what the estimate for the bridge was to raise it on the list from what it was originally. They had a erroneous, really stupid low estimate for what the cost of the bridge replacement was. I think they had like 17,000 in there instead of 1.7 million. With inflation, it bumped up to 2.5. So that bumped us up into the running for it.
So do we have a motion to approve this?
So moved. Second.
We have a motion, a second, any more discussion? All in favor?
I don't think I catch my breath on that.
Can we get them to arm wrestle?
I
wouldn't want to make him feel bad.
know.
I was gonna say, Susie probably.
All right, thanks, Dwayne, and we are going on a road tour tomorrow, so we'll
Yes.
see you tomorrow.
Trying to have our trip planned so we don't do too many circles.
Oh, that'd be good. Morning, Josh.
Good morning.
How's it
My
going?
turn.
Thanks for the update. You sent us a couple of days, whenever
Oh,
it
yeah.
was,
Yeah,
recently.
trying to stay on top of that and keep everybody informed.
And did the staff like how you did that? Did they
Yeah,
take
I
the
think
work
so. I got
we
some
did?
good feedback
Good.
on it. So,
He sent an email to his staff and to us, and it was very good communication tool.
thank you. All right, so I tried to make a little bit more of a formal report, I guess. So for transports, since our inception, October 1st of last year, we've run 1,673 calls. Last month, we were at 161. This month to date, I guess in 26 days, we've run 122. So our average is about 5 a day, and we're still pretty on point with that. Right now for the month, we're at like 4.6 calls per day, but and then of those this month, 24 have been transfers from Jefferson County Hospital. So staffing, we have four full-time openings. We lost 4 people with previous administration, I guess. So we still have 4 openings. I have 2 interviews scheduled this week. I did an interview with, I say a younger man last week. And he's coming back for a peer interview today, I think. And then I've got another peer interview set up for Wednesday. So gradually, I'm trying to reach out to all my people and get them in. And I found a stack of resumes in a folder that I've reached out to several of those as well to see if they're still interested, and I've had a few hits on that. So people that for whatever reason were denied before, I figured I'd reach out to those and see if we can get any interest.
So I had a lady approach me at Walmart yesterday and want to know if ambulance was still hiring. I said, absolutely. And so I told her to have me contact you after lunch today.
Oh, cool.
I imagine it's an EMT, but still.
It's all right.
Yeah. So, but I said, absolutely, we're always looking.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. So with that, with the 4 full-time openings, we've had a few holes in the schedule. I've had a few of the staff reaching out to other people to try to fill in those gaps. Doing some, people coming in for 4 or 5 hours and switching out, which is, we'll take what we can get. Over the weekend, we did have a whole pretty much all day Saturday and all day Sunday, but the staff that we had on were able to manage. I think there was one incident where overlapping calls and one of the medics just went by themselves and they figured out a driver and everything else. So it worked out well. The staff we have are awesome and they're flexible, which definitely helps things. So
So do we, like in that particular instance, if it's in town, we still use Rescue 17?
mhm. Yep. And then we have mutual aid agreements with everybody else in the county. So if we have a call out in the county, we can have a first responder drive us back or something along that line. So we're still able to make it work. Like I said, it's not ideal, but very little issue at all this weekend. So
But we are running 2 rigs.
yep. Yep.
When do we have the drivers?
Yeah, you guys can come drive.
That's the remote control, Susan.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Just sit in a control room
Yeah.
and steer from there. I looked at billing, so
Drones.
I've had one meeting with the billing company since I took over. I've got another one next week. We trying to meet weekly, but she's at a conference this week, so I'll meet with her again next week. Just looking at big picture totals, we've billed out 1.7 million and we've collected 384,000. So there's a huge gap in there and what we've billed out versus what we've collected. So that's on my agenda next time I speak with her to figure out if there's anything we need to do differently to increase our return on that. Yeah, 1.7 million sounds great, but when we're only collecting not even a quarter of that, so that's a
So
problem.
my question would be in that 1.7 million versus the, whatever you said,
384, yeah.
I'm gonna throw out a hypothetical number here just because it's easier. So those $1.7 million represents 500 calls, just for sake of argument.
Sure.
And the 384,000 represents 250 of those calls having been paid, and that's the portion that we get. So what I'm trying to ask is that of that 1.7 million, how many of the calls or how many calls is that and how many of them have actually been paid? And that's all we're gonna get.
Right, and I need to look into. That's what I'm trying to figure out. Like I said, this is just mile high view.
Right.
I'll get down in the weeds in it. At some point in the near future, because like I said, I want to ask her about it next week when we meet and figure out what we need to do differently. So.
Yeah, because I've always figured we're only gonna average about $500 a call.
And that seems to kind of be the average, but,
Yeah.
and I don't know, from a county perspective, if we pursue the remainder, what insurance doesn't cover, do we want to, I don't want to say go after, but do we want to pursue the individuals for the remainder?
Well, if it's Medicare, it's Medicaid, we have to accept what they pay.
Right.
Right.
If it's insurance, then regular insurance, so I'm just using hypothetical again. I got Blue Cross Blue Shield insurance and right now I haven't met my deductible, so it's paying 80%. I'm responsible for the other 20%, so
Right.
yeah. And the building company's supposed to.
They're
do
supposed
it.
to be doing that, right? So,
That's a conversation
yes,
with them
Yeah,
to make
absolutely.
sure. And part of that gap, I know, is before we were Medicare certified, but
so we requested,
we go after that.
yeah, we requested a back date of, for the difference there between October and when we were actually authorized. So that just went in, I think, a week, 2 weeks ago.
Good,
So that request has been made. So
good.
maybe that'll,
Should hopefully.
so that's the hope.
Now, does that, I can't
Yeah, that's okay,
apologize.
yeah.
to keep interrupting. Now, does that include, or, and maybe that's what Dee was referencing. There was a point in time where the building company dropped the ball and didn't get the paperwork into Medicare. For, I can't tell you how long, but there is some $50,000 there that Medicare wasn't going to pay because we weren't a Medicare provider.
Right, and I can only assume that that's what that was.
Okay,
And like I said, she emailed me and said, hey, sign this. And that it was for a request for back date
right.
And
back to October 1.
she's new since that happened, so really hold her feet to the fire on that one
Okay.
because it wasn't our mistake.
Okay,
But Cheyenne has been,
Better.
yeah, oh yeah, much so. But, and she knows, because we've had a conversation and the boards had a conversation and they were on Zoom. We fully expect, because it wasn't, they dropped the ball. We fully expect them to pick that up.
oh, okay. Yeah, that's good to know.
Alrighty, discuss and consider locks at ambulance base.
Put that, you want me to go ahead?
Go ahead.
The continuing saga.
Well,
Continuing saga.
Elizabeth is here now, so I put that on there because they're still not done.
Right,
And the last conversation that the attorney's office had was, give me till July 31st. Okay, we've blown past July 31st and it's not done.
mhm,
All right, I don't know exactly what the answer is. I don't know if we go to small claims and we get, you can only get what, $5,000, but the fact is that we gave him $10,000 of taxpayer money up front. And that was at his request because he didn't have the funds to buy the equipment and stuff. I don't know why it's not getting installed, but it's been a year.
Do you know if there has been communication between my office and the lock doctor?
I think Mike Brown was writing him a letter, the
Yeah.
last
She already-
council
okay,
told us.
okay,
And
great.
that's where there was the original and then the subsequent conversation apparently took place, and that's where the July 31st date came
Okay.
up. Because it was originally, I think, was going to be the 15th and he couldn't make that. But like I say, we've blown clear past July 31st.
So we're ready to
Proceed with.
proceed with
Next step.
your recommendation.
Okay.
So,
You know,
so on that, so apparently they were there on Saturday. Somebody came on Saturday and said they were gonna be here today.
Okay,
To my understanding, everything is in place. They just need to come in and program and set the cards.
and that's fine. And if they
And
get it
if
done,
that's,
yeah.
yeah, so hopefully we'll know something today. And he didn't give a time up as to when he would be here, but
Yeah.
that's my understanding is he'll be here today.
And that's perfect. I really don't want to throw anybody under the bus. I just want it done.
Yes,
But I think a year is more than reasonable.
that's success.
you know, and it goes without saying, we should never again pay somebody up front.
Right.
All right,
Anything else for me?
discuss and consider VA transportation through 1015 transit. Thanks,
Okay,
Josh.
again, I put that on, we had a lot of conversations. This last week, Thursday, counties contribute $2,500 apiece. Excuse me, obviously, we've blown through that. Now Jefferson County has not. And right now, we're looking at, this is not an indictment of Wapello County, it's a matter of need, and they have the need, but they've, used up $5,247, so they're double their allotment. And we are going to be a 501c3. We are working on becoming a Medicare provider, or I'm sorry, a VA provider. And we did have Jay, reach out to Young Toyota, Ford, Lincoln, or whatever, because they do a lot of donations to community projects. And see if we can't work something out with them. Anyway, the point being is that we are going to start invoicing the VAs if we exceed the $2,500. Not that we're expecting them to pay, but we want them to be aware of it. Obviously, if we just can't sustain the $160,000 a year that we're currently spending on VA transportation. And so we've got to figure out what we know. We're obviously all well aware that the counties don't have.
So that 160,000, to be clear, is for all the counties in our region.
Right. Right. And Wapello County is the biggest user. And again, but what we're doing is we're taking folks on an individual basis. You know, if we take more than one, or if we can take more than one at a time, we do that. We use the minivans and the vehicles rather than the big buses if we don't, you know, whenever we can. To lower our fuel costs. Prior to us taking on this role, which we all said we wanted to do, meaning the counties, we still do. But prior to taking on the role, our veterans had to, in the case of Wapello County, had a bus. And everybody had to get together, and they spent 400 years up there all at one time. This way it's individual. People don't have to sit and wait. Our drivers sit and wait till the appointment is over. In talking to Wapello County Supervisor on Thursday, they appropriate $150,000 to their VA. They only spent about 100,000 of that last year. We questioned why that $50,000 wasn't rolled over to help cover this cost of their transportation. So that's a conversation we're having. I just wanted to alert you that.
It's in process.
Right.
All right, very good. All right, moving on, discuss and consider resolution in the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office for step increase for Ashley Pouring correction. And the law officer, Bart. This is number 2 in our packet.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes,
Okay. Yes, we have 2 resolutions, one for Ashley Porn and Garrett Humaster. The first one for Ashley will take effect September 16th. That'll be her 1-year anniversary date. And the other one, October 1. So we're a little early on these, but we're getting through. They started a certain percentage below the normal rate of pay for training purposes and expenses to get certified. So they've been on 1-year probation.
okay. Do we have a motion for this?
I'd make a motion to approve the step increase for Ashley Porn.
Second.
And that is in the amount of $49,060.90.
Well, it's not a $49,000 increase.
No, that's the total
Right, that's the
compensation.
total, yeah.
Very good
Scared me there for a
clarification.
minute. I was gonna have to rethink that part.
For yearly pay, yes.
Yeah, annual pay. Okay, any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Read the next one. I included.
Alrighty, and then the next one is for Garrett. And then it's the same amount also total.
I make a motion to approve the step increase for Garrett Huffmaster.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do you want to take a quick minute and tell us about the big event in the southern part of the county?
Yes, the question came up yesterday with somebody that lives in the county. There's a private event being held. It was done last year too. It's on Eastwood Avenue in the southwest part of our county, almost into Van Buren. So it's a private event. They're expecting up to 1,500 people. It's like a music festival type thing. We've met with one of the organizers. We've got all their contact numbers. They're well organized. They've contracted security 24 hours a day. This will start September 12th and probably in the early morning hours of 15th. So they have security around the clock. They've contracted ambulance and medics for that period of time. I think it's all going to be fenced off. Any emergency vehicles, we know where to go and who to contact. So Brett Farrell, myself, and Jerry Marcellus met with one of the organizers of this event. They seem well organized. They have a plan for weather. So we don't expect many problems. So other than the noise. So
Yeah, I know we got questions last year, so I thought an update would be helpful.
So yeah, we'll have people out all those nights. This is going on. They're actually going to have campers there, so people are going to be staying. So it's not like they're going to be moving around the county. But they've even organized shuttle buses come from both airports. So I don't know how many people they expect to fly in. So, but they seem to be well organized and prepared.
All right, thanks.
Mhm.
All right, discuss and consider fiscal year 2023 school resource officer funding agreement with Cardinal Community School District. And I believe this is the invoice for the resource officer. So apparently it wasn't invoiced in 22-23, and this is it. And we have 5,000 in our budget total this year for this. So,
So you're saying 24 was paid, 25 is coming up next, but we have 5,000 to be able to pay that for 23. My question was, why wasn't it paid on 23?
Assume we weren't invoiced
probably weren't invoiced.
till just recently evidently, and maybe it was an oversight on their part, I'm not sure. And I see where we don't have an agreement in place yet for the FY 25.
I just think we might not always have the resources for somebody to back up 2 years and pay $5,000.
Right. Here's, it's kind of a catch-22, and I get that, but here's where I'm at. Obviously, what we budgeted in 23 went back into the general fund. So it didn't actually disappear, but by the same token, our budgets look different today than it did in 23 for obvious reasons, right? And we have 5,000 in the FY 25 budget. As of right at the moment, we don't have an agreement. The school is looking at it. I think FY 23 has come and gone. The officer was paid, the officer's still in place. And like you said, Susie, we're fast approaching 2 years on the budget. And if I'm thinking if we take the $5,000 that we have currently budgeted, then there won't be anything for this fiscal year. Does that make sense? I know that was
Absolutely.
convoluted, but
Yeah, we don't know what's coming for this fiscal year either. We don't have the written agreement, so.
well, we know we budgeted 5,000 for the resource officer for them for this fiscal year.
Yeah.
So what would you like to do with this particular invoice?
I'd like to pay it, but I don't know how you can.
I agree with Lee.
Okay, so, no action then on that item. Okay,
You know, I just don't think we can be invoiced for something 2 years after the fact.
all right. We are close to 9 o'clock, at which point we'll start our public hearing on the wind ordinance. And that is number 7 in our packets for the ordinance. We've got some chairs around here. If anybody wants to sit, you're welcome to. This is our second public hearing. I'd like to say limit comments to 2 minutes, please, to give everybody time to speak. And from the last time, we took some comments, updated it. It's been available on our website, the latest one. So with that, do we have, and again, our role in the public hearing itself is to listen. So do we have a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, moving. Comments?
I have a comment, if anybody's been watching the news, one of these giant contraptions fell from the sky in Schuyler County on Sunday morning with no weather, no nothing, it just fell over. And if anybody would have been under it, working, spraying, doing anything like that, it could have been a catastrophe.
Any other public comments?
Public comment?
Yeah.
I worked on an installation on a project, 175 megawatts in Tama County. Started in 2020, finished the leasing in 21, permitting's done, construction starts this year. They have an ordinance on the books that they went through a couple of years ago. I brought some printouts for all three of you. And I wanted to suggest that what you do is, I'm not saying you're trying to reinvent the wheel with what you've done so far, but don't try to reinvent the wheel. They did a good job up there. Some of the links that you see there include references to sample ordinances, experience that communities have had across the board. And in Tama County, the developers did it right. Landowners formed an association early on. They found themselves an attorney in Marshalltown, which I would be happy to refer any landowner to in Jefferson County. Okay. They decided what they wanted. The developers met with those landowners and then went out to the rest of the community. And I would just have to say I was lucky enough to be working on something that was done right, start to finish. So I highlighted the Tama County ordinance in particular. I think it addresses the issues that have come up in the last hearing in this one. I couldn't be here for the last one. Thank you for having a second public hearing on this matter. Those would be my recommendations to you. You can do this if you do it right. I'm not saying win never fails, but I would want to see full documentation on that claim.
Schuyler County, Missouri, you can go down and do whatever.
Next, I've worked on wind in
2 minutes.
I've worked
Alright.
on wind in Missouri.
We've
And-
got,
2 minutes.
Okay,
okay,
thank you.
thank you. Yeah.
May I ask who you are and who you represent?
Oh, sorry, my name's Patrick Bosold. I'm a citizen of the realm. I live here in Fairfield. And I'm bringing several years of
Okay.
experience with
Yeah.
wind and solar to the
Thank you,
discussion.
And yes, everybody, please identify yourself.
Sorry.
Abby needs it for the record. Yeah.
My name is Tom Spina with the Iowa Land and Liberty Coalition. We work across the state at the county level on renewable projects. Wind obviously is the point here. I would just say with current ordinance that you guys have, setbacks are extremely restrictive with the 3 times or the half-mile setbacks. Projects just won't be able to be built, and I think these projects offer an opportunity for landowners. They're voluntary, provide benefits to the county, to the state at a grander scale. So as far as setbacks go, 2 times turbine height of 1,500 feet is usually kind of what we're seeing right now across the state. That still provides restrictions for other landowners to make sure there's some setbacks, but also allows projects to go forward if people decide to take that route. As far as some of the turbines we've been seeing going down with tornadoes and such across the state, Lynn County just finished up their ordinance last month, and they've got a lot of work in there on the decommissioning and then also the disaster incidents, that type of protections for the county and the landowners. So I would be happy to share that with you guys via email, if you'd like. It's most up to date, and County's a big county, they took a lot of time on it, so it was a workable ordinance, and they also had all the protections that you guys would want in your ordinance here, so. That's all I've got for you, thank you.
All right, other comments? Yes.
Hi, everybody. My name is Michael Moore. I was in the renewable energy business for some 14 years in 14 states. And First of all, I'm proud of Iowa. We have the highest percent of renewable energy of any other state in the nation. We're now at 65%. Our problem now is the coal plants that are polluting our state still, that are continuing, and that energy goes to other states. But our garbage that comes into our environment here. Just so people know, those who have these turbines on their land, and I saved a lot of farms when I did the work across the country, where they were going out of business because they didn't have enough income, small farms. The amount of money people are going to be getting here between $18,000 and $25,000 a year for one of these turbines, which is a very significant amount of money. And that's not, maybe it's guaranteed. The income on this project to the city and state, I mean, our county, have you figured that out yet? Got an estimate? Yeah,
We've not received any
okay,
information.
so that's something you really need to work with the company that's here. That's probably number one consideration in terms of what are we gonna get from this? But you're gonna have a very significant number, a large number of the tax advantages. What was the third thing you wanted to say? I think that's enough for now.
Okay, thanks. Anybody else? Okay, Mark.
Margaret Dwyer. I'd just like to say two things. One, I get it that there's a lot of NIMBY, not in my backyard. I don't want that thing in my yard, even though I'm gonna get money for it. I think that the people two things. One, I think part of the problem is our Alliant Energy does not promote microgrids, or in other words, you can't have a wind turbine on your property that benefits you directly. And I think it would be great to talk with Alliant Energy and move them along in this conversation. Because it's clear that whatever we do or don't do, the electric grid has to be enhanced. There has to be more energy on the electric grid in the future. And if we don't do wind and we don't do solar, what are we gonna do? We have to do something. So and just those who are opposed to wind energy, I get it. You don't want it in your own yard, I get that. And what else do you recommend? And it's important to have an alternative suggestion if you're against it. That's all.
Any other comments?
Yep.
Yeah.
Brent Adam, live in Jefferson County, vote in Jefferson County. Sustainable energy, let's use coal. It's worked for 100 years. Don't reinvent the wheel. It works. Hog buildings is 2,640 feet. That's how far you have to be away. It's a nuisance. That's why hog buildings are like that. These wind turbines are nuisance. They should be 2,640. If it don't work, leave, go somewhere else, find somewhere else better for these turbines. We do not want them in Jefferson County at all. I'm gonna be here for the rest of my life. My kids are gonna be too. We don't want them. We're the ones that's gonna live amongst them. Please. We do not want these.
And I would like to point out, most of the people a lot of them don't live in Jefferson County. So, and I actually sat in a Vedic City Council meeting. They do not want them. I discussed that with them when I was running for supervisor. They are not on board. When I talked to every one of the city council members, not one of them were for it. So I would be leery of people out of town trying to tell us how good they are.
Any other comments?
Me.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Jared Hirschberger, I'm with Dusty Fox Wind, which is the main reason we are here today, probably. So I just want to say, I think this is nothing new, and we're not taking away coal power plants. We're adding to the grid here. We're adding more energy into the grid, which is what we need. It's a change. It's a change here for this county. It's not a change for the rest of Iowa. As it's been mentioned, 65% of Iowa's power comes from wind. I think it had a shaky start at first, but I think we've, counties have put regulations in place, the state's even looking at some. So we're, moving in a direction, I think that's making it possible to build and safe. For us to build in this county, in any county, we're working in counties with 6,000 people, a half a mile is too far. We just cannot build because we have to connect each turbine. And for a project of any scale, of any size, it's, as I've talked to you guys about, it's going to be too much. We have to have something closer to a quarter of a mile. When you take it to half a mile, it makes a project unbuildable. You're taking the choice from the landowners who want to be part of the project. And again, it's entirely voluntary. If the folks up here in Jefferson County don't want us, they don't have to sign up. I mean, but for a lot of smaller farmers, it's a good option for them to have, especially when the, farm economy, is not doing so well. It's kind of a backup, steady source of income. So beyond that, Senator Dickey mentioned last week about keeping the money more local, keeping it up in that area. That is a decision you guys can make. That's not on us how the tax money is spent. And then again, a woman mentioned that we're here because of the farm economy not doing so great right now. We've been here for a year and a half, making investments in this county and Wapello County and Keokuk County. So, but it is, in the end, it is a good source of income for those farmers. So, thank you.
Okay, any other comments?
I'd like to make a comment after him there. You guys are the ones saying you're not gonna come. It's not these guys saying that 2640 is too far. You guys are the ones telling the farmers that you're not coming. Don't put this on them. It's on you.
Okay, next comment.
So I'm Denise Hall. I live up by Limby, which is a mile from the Pekin School. I have concerns. I talked to several administrators up there. They're concerned about having a windmill in their backyard with kids that have like ADHD or whatever. That would be a huge distraction for them. I'm also curious to know, how many farmers do you have in Jefferson County that have signed on with this?
One.
More than one. I'm not sure the exact number.
You're not sure. Shouldn't you know that?
It's only, it's not, like I said, it's less than the other two counties, less interest.
Well,
Again,
I'm
it's
gonna ask the
voluntary.
supervisors to do the half mile. I agree with the half mile. I'm with the rest of the group.
Okay, other comments?
Quick, I want y'all to take into account the guys that are speaking, they used to work in wind energy. My question to them is, how close do you guys live to windmills?
I live here in town
So,
and I've been here for many years.
I'm in Des Moines, I don't live by a neighbor.
You,
I live in town.
you,
I live in Burlington, but I'd be glad to live by
my
one.
point exactly. My point is the guys that are for this are not the ones that have to live underneath them. They're not raising their families close to them. My kids are gonna go to Pekin schools. There shouldn't be one within 5 miles of them because of distractions, and we don't know the negative side effects that could come of it. So take into consideration who's selling this and their direct interaction with windmills, because it's zero.
Any other comments?
First of all, I'm not in the business anymore.
You spoke for it.
So, well, yeah,
Okay,
because I've seen what it does for community and it's been very positive. But the point I wanted to make was, one, coal's more expensive than wind energy and it pollutes. We don't pollute with these wind turbines and it's less cost. So savings actually to our community and actually to the state.
do we have any comments on Zoom on this? All right, and do we have any other comments in the room?
Here,
Okay, so
Name, please.
my name's John Driver. I've been approached before I decided to do anything. The first thing I did is I happened to have, first thing I did is went up to I-80. I stopped in and talked to 5 different farmers. One wouldn't talk to me, that's fine. So I ended up with 4. I said, would you guys do this again? 3 out of the 4 said they would do it all over again. Okay, that's my first. When you're talking about 2640, there's a difference between a hog confinement, a cattle confinement, and a windmill and a solar. I happen to have solar, okay? It does not supply all my needs when I build it. You gotta remember, everybody in the room right now, for the most part, is
gonna show up and object. But those who already signed up are not gonna show up here. As supervisors, you gotta know that. So before I went any further, the first question I had is, what are the taxes? They couldn't answer it here, so I went to Mahaska County. They explained how it's taxed. Yes, there's gonna be a significant lower end of Mahaska County does not want windmills, the upper end does. So I went to another county. I said, what are your ordinances? You know, there's a lot of stipulations in this. You know, 2,500 feet, yeah, will probably kill the project, okay? I'm not saying I'm for or against, okay? But everything, I've been to Dusty Fox. When you start adding all the, 300-foot setbacks for a road, or 600 feet, and then any creek that runs water anytime, that's 200 or 300 feet. You start drawing pictures, it takes a lot of acres. I'm up to my 2 minutes. I said, just remember, just because everybody's here, the people already signed up are not gonna show up.
But he said he only had one sign.
Yeah, only one I've heard is signed up.
That's not, we have more than one.
Okay, do we have any other comments? You haven't spoken.
Okay, my name is John Miller, and this may not fit in this meeting format, but I wanted to suggest that the city consider a turbine at the south end of O.B. Nelson Park. It's quite a distance from roads and residents, homes and stuff, and it might be a great way to save energy for the city.
There's
There's
houses
schools.
all around.
All right, but they're like, you do the southern end, they're like 300 feet away from the turbine.
Okay, Patrick.
Patrick Boso, Fairfield resident. I have worked on wind and solar. No contest. But the reason I'm doing that is because of some of the points that were made here. Coal plants kill people. This is established science. It has been for decades. That's not gonna change if you keep burning coal. We need to stop burning things. That's the 3-word mandate for us going forward, okay? We're all in this together. And that's why I'm in renewables. I'd rather be retired, to tell you the truth. But I think it's important enough that I've kept working. So please, don't tell me that I don't have skin in this game. I do.
Okay, we're beyond that, okay? That's,
All right, do we have any comments about the ordinance?
I think you did a nice job.
Okay,
Dee, what
May
is
I ask
going
a
forward?
question?
going forward
What
is,
happens now?
Dee, may I ask a question?
let me answer that question first. We're at our
Okay.
second public hearing. We can have 3 public hearings, or we could pass it today to answer your question. What's your question?
It's a question on the proposed ordinance.
Okay, tell you what, let's close the public hearing and then we can talk, because the next agenda item has to do with discussion. Do we have a motion to close the public hearing?
It's moved.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next is discuss and consider wind ordinance. Ask your questions. We can have a little bit of discussion. We're not gonna go too far into the weeds because we've got the comments.
Yeah, it's just apropos of the comments, and that is on page 6, section 5, citing and design standards. Subsection A under setbacks. There's a waiver provision there. So I just want to understand this clearly, that if all conditions are met, then the individual property owner could make a determination on the setbacks. Is that correct?
It is, but don't confuse that with, it still has to be 2,600 to 40 feet from your neighbor.
Okay, so
It
that's from
doesn't-
the property line.
Right, it doesn't have to be from that person's house, just your neighbor's house.
Okay,
Right.
from the property line.
Adjacent landowners can sign off, and that's the
Right.
waiver provision.
Right. I
Where
get
you're
that,
waiving
right.
the setback.
Right. Not necessarily on your land or on your
Okay.
property, but on your neighbor's property. They have the right, according to this ordinance, to sign a waiver that says, hey, it's okay.
Okay, I just wanted some clarification on that. Thank you.
Okay. I was at the Iowa Association of Counties annual conference last week, and of course, this is always a hot topic. And one of the things they said there, as far as the cost, is 5 cents per megawatt for coal and 17 cents per megawatt for wind energy. There's no right or wrong in any of the counties. Some have had them, some have through the years have fewer of them. For us, it's not going to be a significant revenue stream because it's my understanding there would not be that many in our county. So the revenue has never really been a strong factor for us, because the flip side, I talked to the Dare County, and this was before the tornado hit. They have the most windmills in their county, and that supervisor said they spent a lot of their revenue money repairing the roads because of the damage from the equipment. So there's a trade-off there too.
I had a conversation with Kika County Supervisor, and they're basically taking our ordinance and cut and pasting their name.
And I talked to the Wapello County ones Thursday up at the conference, like 2 of them, and have a copy of ours. They're real interested in it. So I don't know what they're gonna do.
Let's be leaders.
And I
To
think,
be fair, we took Mahaska County's ordinance.
and
We're
we
just
appreciate
spreading
your-
it around.
and I think we all appreciate wind energy. In my opinion, it belongs more in Wyoming and Kansas and Nebraska when you drive for miles and there's no people there.
Well, I don't know that I've really ever had this question answered, and I don't mean that in a disrespectful sense. But Dusty Fox or whomever puts up these wind turbines, and where does that energy go? Does it stay
It
here?
goes in the grid. And
What
then
what
from there,
exactly-
from there, it can be purchased by whoever purchases.
Yeah, but you say the
Whatever.
grid, what grid, where?
There's a grid. When we first started this process and there were some people that come talk to us about this MISO. So they reviewed that again last week at the meeting.
I just want a direct answer. Does it stay here?
No, it goes, there's a Midwestern grid where all this energy goes to that's
That's all,
produced.
that's fine.
And that's used for this section of the grid.
Right, no, she's right, but it is a little more complicated than that, because we could get credits and then sell, the electricity stays here, but we could then get credits to sell the electricity on the East Coast if we wanted to. In the end, but in the end, it does add to the overall electrical grid. Just like, ag products are sold, not all, the farmers here in Jefferson County don't sell all their ag products here in Jefferson County. So it's similar in that sense.
All of these social media, that's so popular and everybody's on all the time. They now have computers set up in buildings in different cities to process people's information. The cloud is not up in the sky, the cloud is in a building. And that's where they take so much energy, that a lot of the energy and why we're so low on energy right now is because of all of these, I think they call them farms even, electric farms, is where a lot of it's going.
Meta does purchase, like, for example, Meta purchases from us, the facility in Altoona. They
Yeah.
purchase from our pathway, the project.
All right. So, supervisors, what do you want to do? You want to set another public meeting?
Well,
We do, I would suggest 3 weeks out to
we
get
haven't
us
heard
done.
any. I assume most of you at some point were able to access the rewrite off of our website. I don't think I don't think anything gets hurt by having a third public hearing.
So just because of the time factor by the lead time, I would say the 16th of September probably.
Yeah, I mean.
We did 3 weeks before.
I think I'd pass it today, but I just think that having a third public hearing, then
We definitely had people here that haven't been here before.
right.
We want to make sure people's voices are heard. Do you want to make a motion?
What's your thoughts, Susie? Gonna pass it today?
It's really up to them too. You know, I would imagine we're gonna use the same result.
Okay, now you confused me.
Yeah, that's confusing.
I
don't
think
usually
whether
get
you
confused,
vote on today, Lee, or you vote on the 16th of September, you'll get the same result.
Yeah, I don't, but
Let's vote on today.
If I may,
sure.
there was some discussion with Dee about maybe just having some outside counsel
Yeah,
review
that would
it,
be-
even though it, it has come from another county attorney. And I reviewed it and discussed with other county, I mean, like, there's been a lot of discussion about it with other county attorneys, but I would like legal
Yeah.
counsel maybe just to review it one last time. because-
Another thing I learned last
The
week,
ordinance you mean?
yeah, at ISAC was there's some attorneys that specialize in this. And there have been some lawsuits. And so I asked Elizabeth if that, and we have 5 free hours through ICAP. And so we could theoretically, I mean, obviously you want to choose somebody you're comfortable with, but
Well,
I would
that
feel
would be
better.
fine.
I
yeah.
would feel better that the county does our due diligence to make sure that, and they said a lot of times just to make sure the wording's correct. So, yeah, I'm
So
glad
that we
you
know how to protect ourselves if we do.
Okay, so that would mean another reading then at least to
That's
have
what I
you.
would, that's what I would suggest, but of course you do whatever you like.
What, explain to me what in this is not that would cause concern?
I guess I have some concerns about the definition of occupied building with the livestock, but also just the fact that you're significantly restricting what landowners can do with their property, which of course, they're with the hog confinements, we've talked about the setbacks and how they're kind of analogous, but I think that when you restrict what landowners are able to do with their property to this extent, it might not be a bad idea to just get another set of eyes on it.
Jared, I have a question.
I think that's funny, Jared. You were kind of smiling when you were saying.
Oh, I just thought she'd make a good point.
Well, I thought you thought it was. like
Anyway, I
funny. Did
still
you
have
look
a
at my
question,
brother?
Jared.
Susie.
If you look at this whole county, what portion, is there just a portion of it we're looking at in the northwest part of the county?
Yeah. mhm. At the
Because
moment.
are you saying your company thinks there wouldn't be enough wind in the rest of the county?
I'm not sure exactly. That would be, there is kind of I've looked at the wind map before. It's just stronger through that portion, kind of, that's why we're in all 3 counties.
Yeah, and so I'm sitting here looking around the room. You always look at your folks in the room. We've got a lot of folks here from the northwest part of the county.
We all
Peeking out.
own land there too.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, I specifically want to know what those folks are thinking. And I think I've heard what you said.
May I just also point out, though, that my understanding of it, and I'm no expert, but I've become a lot more knowledgeable as I've researched this, but the technology keeps changing. And so it's not unforeseeable that sometime in the future, the wind turbines could be elsewhere in the county. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So, I mean, it is really forward-looking
Mhm.
about the entire county because this will potentially, impact where those turbines can be as the technology changes.
Yeah, and Elizabeth, I'm sitting here thinking, we can always redo the ordinance.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, we've
yes.
all got to remember, we can redo it.
Susie,
Yes.
you mentioned you wanted to talk with landowners that are part of the project? Is that what you were talking?
No, I just said I was looking at the northwest part of the county where most of the landowners are. I think all of them that are against it are from up there.
Well, that's the area that we've been contacting
Yeah,
and
yeah.
talking with. So yeah, it's all kind of the north, would be the northwest corner there.
Mhm.
About
Can
a
you give us-
mile, outside of the big city, at least.
Well, I think,
I would say with John left, I was considering, except John is gone.
there's always, if I put this in perspective, you have a nuisance ordinance, it restricts what a person can do with their property. Anyway, plain and simple, that's exactly what it does. You know, I showed pictures this morning, so what I'm saying is that, and we can redefine what occupied structure is, and then we can just change the terminology and say, also 2,640 feet from livestock operations. And not call it an occupied structure, and if the definition is concerning, and but to Susie's point that you can change the ordinance. I do think, and again, you know, we can go out to the third public hearing. I think the issue that we get into is that, if we keep looking. And this is no disrespect to Elizabeth, because I think the world of her and what she's done for us here, but.
Bye.
Well, no, what I'm saying is that I think we can analyze this thing to death. And to Susie's point, if it turns out that there was a hiccup there, you know, rather than going to court and litigate it, we can look at it and say, okay, maybe you've got a point, we can change the definition. I don't see a need to go out, this is just me, speaking for the other two, to go out and, well, the terminology that was used earlier, reinvent the wheel. We did make some adjustments to Mahaska County's ordinance and terminology. I get that, but I think we have the right to define what occupied structures are.
Yeah, what would you assume of the occupied structures now? What would that mean? Does that mean somebody has too many cats in a building? So it's occupied, or birds?
Many horses.
Huh? Mini horses?
Mini horses. No, I mean, and we can get more specific as far as that part of it is concerned, but I'm the one that brought up that because of a lot of the conversations that we've had over the last 6-8 months, was concern for livestock. And the impact. I don't have a clue on that. I truly don't. I don't think that, I think that's, well, not I think, that's the reason I brought up the fact that when we define occupied structures, it includes the housing of livestock.
Okay.
Now, chickens are considered livestock, I think. So if you had a chicken or a turkey, you know.
I have a question for you. So if we passed it today, and if you still, you know, get another set of specialist eyes on it, if there was a recommendation, what would the process be to change it?
You'd have to go through 3 public hearings.
We'd have to go through the 3 public hearings again.
I think you can beat a dead horse, but it's still gonna be a dead horse.
But livestock though,
Chicken
that's
approach.
the only question is, you know, like, how do you, how would people know what building has livestock in it? I guess that's my only concern, just to clarify, is the definition, you know, like to give people notice of what buildings it's clearer with property lines and occupied structures, and so.
Well, but if you had a. I get what you're saying. So in other words, if I have a hog barn out here that's no longer in use, do I have to be 2,640 feet from that? And then the question is, if I decide later on to put hogs in it, now I'm not 2,640 feet from it when it's an occupied structure. I mean, those dynamics change, and I get that. It's for example, building a hog barn a half mile from a house. If there's no house there, you put the hog barn up, and then later on a house comes in there and it's within a half a mile. That's not on the owner of the hog barn.
No.
So, I mean, I get what you're saying, and I can see where there might be some conversations down the road. And I think that as this is currently written, we have another public hearing, which is fine, but as this is currently written, I guess if you wait 2 weeks or whatever it is, yeah, I guess you can do whatever you want within the 2 weeks, but
I have a question. You just received the Lynn County ordinance, I think, to review. Had you reviewed that one previously?
I think we heard it was going on, but I don't know.
Okay, I just feel like, if you wait and do a third public hearing, gives you a chance to review that one, to new information.
We have looked at,
We've looked at
Lots of
several,
but not to say that we looked at Lynn County specifically.
we've been working on this for several months.
I'd say a year.
I'd say a year too.
So,
Guys, in my opinion, drop the gavel and be done with this. I mean, that's how I feel. We've been in lots of meetings together and I'll love to come to, I'll see you in 2 weeks again, if you really want to see me. I doubt you want to.
well, that's a damn good point. I gotta think of that one.
Drop the gavel.
I'm okay either way, so.
Well, I don't anticipate any changes in it. I guess where I'm at. We can always, like I say, to Susie's point, we can always revisit it at some point in the future if we need to. And
That's
make
a really
adjustments.
good idea.
Do what?
That's a good idea. I'm glad you thought about it.
Well, so, what does say discuss and consider?
Mhm.
Yep.
So we can do it today.
Yes, you'd have to suspend the rules. Yeah. Pass it.
So that would be the first step, is to suspend the rules.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's fine.
Yeah. Mhm.
So I would make a motion to suspend the rules, to discuss and consider passing the wind ordinance today.
Do we have a second?
Yes, second.
Any discussion on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Now would make it one motion, right? Yeah.
We have discussed and consider wind ordinance on
You
the
can pass it,
agenda.
pass it.
I would make a motion that we approve wind ordinance chapter 5-40, establishing the regulation of commercial wind energy systems in Jefferson County. And this, by the way, just for reference, is commercial. As is currently constituted.
Second.
Do we have any more discussion on this? I just want to say we appreciate everybody's comments, whether pro or con. We've been working on this for several months. And I believe that we have really listened to the people this directly affects.
So are you making a second for reading the resolution then? Or do you put this, because you have to passing the resolution first?
They suspended the rules so that they're passing it today, so they don't have a third final reading.
Well, that's public hearing, but in order to pass a resolution, I thought you had to have, you could have to read.
You can, I.
You could pass it.
Yesterday, you can pass it
This
early.
is-
Yes,
I looked it up.
Do we need a resolution, Happy? With this?
Usually do it with the ordinance.
yeah, and so we don't, I mean.
We don't have a
not knowing, we
resolution.
Don't have a resolution.
So maybe the motion is to get a resolution.
Mhm. Okay. You can pass. it.
Resolution for an ordinance takes 3 readings unless you wait the second 3 readings. What you have now is a public hearing on the ordinance itself.
Can we close the public hearing and waive the third reading?
Wait the third public hearing.
And that's a legal process, right? Looking at the lawyer.
Just stepping into this, I'm uncomfortable with giving
Yeah.
a legal opinion.
Well, yeah, so we've had. I mean, I think that we can just pass the ordinance today, that's my understanding, but.
So Tom, here's what you're saying is that you think we need to have a resolution in place?
That's how I believe how the ordinances have to be a resolution.
So we could do it by resolution next Monday.
I'm not trying to put a stop to this by any means, but what you have is public hearings on an ordinance.
Discuss and
Nothing is
consider.
passing a resolution for the ordinance itself, and then at that next meeting, you can waive a second and third readings if you want to on the ordinance then.
I guess it doesn't say discuss and consider resolution,
No.
ordinance resolution.
So let's just wait and do it the
Get on the
correct,
agenda.
correct procedurally.
You still waive your third public hearing if you want.
Yeah,
Already did that, yeah.
So,
so we'll get the
we're
resolution.
probably not having a meeting next week because of Labor Day. So we could do September 10th or 16th. I don't know if it takes much time. All right, we'll get it on the agenda when the resolution's done.
What, for the good of the crowd here,
Mhm.
what day are you gonna do?
Let's go with September 16th. Does that work?
Why can't we do it September 9th?
10th, we're having it the 10th that week. We can do it the 10th.
Perfect. Wait a minute, we're doing home?
The meeting the 10th that week. We talked about that a while back.
Oh, okay, all right, yeah.
That works for us.
Okay. All right,
Oh, wait a minute, there's.
so. There you go. Thank you, everybody. That way we'll make sure to have our legal ducks in a row. All right, number 5, discuss and consider fund transfer. And that is for $65,000 to be transferred from the general basic to the general supplemental fund effective August 26th. Do we have a motion for that?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Yeah. Aye. Well.
Thanks, everybody.
So we
You
made,
made the motion.
You need
Yes.
the motion, second.
Second, third,
Now we're going to.
yes,
Okay,
yes.
all right.
unless
Brought up.
unless you don't want it to be. We can make it on something else.
Please stop it.
All right. Discuss and consider safety manual class for county employees. Who is doing that?
I could speak to that. So basically, this came up at our safety committee meeting when so since you've passed the manual and it has the page at the end for employees to sign,
Mhm.
saying that they've, received it and reviewed it. And the suggestion at our safety committee meeting from Stacy Griffin, who is IMWTA representative, is that she could turn it into a class, kind of like the safety classes that the county employees take. So basically, it's like they just present it and then you just sign it at the end. So,
when are we wanting to do this?
I mean, as long as you guys approve it, then, and I just want to get it in front of you so that, she said she would prefer that you guys approve it. It's not necessary, but I wanted to make sure that you're all aware.
Okay.
And then, kind of similar to that is there are some requirements in the safety manual for department heads when their reports, it's the reports that need to be filed. So I'm not sure when your next department head meeting is, but maybe bringing that to their attention.
Probably into September because they were all at ISAC last week. So I
Right,
figured-
okay. So anyway, she can get it going as long as you just approve it, and she can get it going and she can keep track and making sure that the employees are reviewing it and signing it.
So where would we have those?
It would be virtual. So similar to like the slips, trips and falls training,
Right.
safety things that kind of employees have to do.
So you want a motion?
So moved.
I'll second. All in favor to have a safety manual class?
Aye.
Okay, discuss and consider reappointing Joan Sauls to historical preservation. I talked with her. She'll vote.
So moved.
Second.
Is it also legal on here?
Yeah, that's the
It's on the
second one.
same, it's on the same resolution.
Oh,
Oh,
it's
it
the
is?
same resolution. All right, did anybody talk to Leon? I did not talk to him, I talked to John.
I can.
Okay,
I'm sure he still wants to do it
right,
because they're very involved with this project.
I know, and that's what John said
Yeah.
too.
So just leave.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got a motion, right? In a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Bethany? Aye. Okay. I get them up here to sign. Moving on. Discuss and consider doing gutter and related work at DHS building, and that is Dave talked with me last week. And he said he wants to make sure those records that we're gonna move over there are safe and dry, and they would need about $650. And so this is, we've got that, you know, in our building budget, but this is more just to say, make sure all three of us know this is going on. So I'll make a motion, we do that, related work at DHS. building.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And on that very note, we are having a meeting tomorrow at 8:15, and it went out this morning early, the notice, because he's getting the bids on moving all those records over there.
But it was not on our agenda.
It is now, it was emailed at 8:11,
Okay.
so it is on the agenda. I just want to make sure that everybody knows. Discussing, oh wait, make committee reports.
So, basically, as I explained, pretty much, at 15 Transit, everything was pretty straightforward. Like I said, we had a very extended conversation regarding the veterans program and how we're going to be able to continue that. I am going to Fairfield City Council meeting tonight,
What time is that?
7:30, I believe. I have to look it up and see, but I think it's 7:30.
Okay,
And I have early childhood.
all right.
You know, and I'm gonna recommend a medal for you.
Okay. This one's really gonna be a long one, but I'm not probably gonna be there for the entire thing because it's gonna be so long. Cause they didn't have one last month, and you know how that goes when they pile on.
Yeah,
All right.
I do.
Do you have any committee reports?
No, I do not.
I'm gonna just.
It's 7 PM.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna go through a quick list of things from ISAC. I know everybody just got their property tax bills in the mail, and by
Sure.
talking with some supervisors up there, Webster County's one of them, they've been able to put a pie chart on the Beacon website. So I actually saw Mark up there, our treasurer, and talked to him about that. I'd already talked to Steve Lemmy about that, and really explained that that would be a good visual for anybody that receives a property tax bill to see a pie chart that says, okay, this is your county portion, this is the city portion if you live in a town, this is the school portion. It's all listed at the bottom, but people like pictures. And so I was able to go to the Beacon, had a vendor booth there, so I talked to them, and they're gonna come September 16th on Zoom and talk to us, because they said usually it's the supervisors that request putting this on. And it's about a $700 or $800 ad is what I was told, so it's not a huge expense.
Once it's there though, can somebody, whether it's Mark or whether it's Steve or somebody, update that?
That'll be a question for September 16th. I just think it's a good idea. Anything we can do to help people understand, because I know people think when you get your bill, it's all the county. And it's not, it comes from the county, but our part, depending where you live.
Well, and it's large part because they come in here and pay it.
Yeah, and you know, I would like to say that is money that is being, and you have to own land or property to pay into that. So thank you to those farmers that do that and those folks that own homes.
I'd actually like to have a pie chart on the door as you're going in to pay your property tax, because how many people are gonna access Beacon?
Oh, there you go.
Well, the
It is
pie
nice
chart,
to
on-
see it on there, though.
Huh?
It is nice to see it on there.
Well, okay,
Keokuk County has it.
yeah.
yeah. So anyways, stay tuned on that. I also tried to contact Natel, now Liberty, to come and do another update, and they've changed positions once again.
Yeah.
And so I emailed the guy that I was told to contact, and that one bounced. So when I was at ISAC, another vendor booth, they gave me the office of OCIO is now part of the Department of Management, and I have the card for the person at the state that's in charge of that program. So I had already sent her an email to see at the state level what's going on with our project. And
Well,
who to
I guess,
contact.
I guess where I'm at, and we can't put this on the agenda to discuss and consider. I'd like for the attorneys to tell us whether or not we're still committed.
No, I know, I got the signed copy, and that's kind of where, but we gotta follow the process and see where
Let's
we
put
are
that on the
first.
agenda for September 10th.
I don't think we're that,
Isn't the contract, everything's supposed to be done at the end of this calendar year?
No, I get that, but my point is that we're three companies out and nobody's responding to us. And I want to know from the attorneys whether or not we're still committed.
I think we probably need to wait until the end of the contract to do that, but we'll see. We'll ask the attorneys.
Well, obviously, if at the end of the contract, if nothing happens, we're not committed. My
Right,
point is, are we not committed now?
If they don't follow through by the end of
But
this calendar year.
who is they? There's no way that Natel can follow through because they don't exist. And
well,
there's no way that Liberty.
but that's all
Communications-
addressed in the agreement.
You know,
Let's
Dee,
take
Anyway,
out all
we're
I
not
guess-
gonna-
I guess I wonder, have they read the contract to know that?
We have a
So maybe
problem
it
with
would
the
be nice
last
if
one
they
on
came
that.
here to talk to us, so we can maybe read it to them.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm working on that one.
What if they know it and by the end of the year it's not done? Do you get your 500,000 back?
I don't want I'd have to look at the contract, see what that reads. I don't think that there was any caveat there. But the 274,000 that we haven't paid,
That's
right,
what we could do.
and I
Okay.
just.
And then we need to obligate it real
I
quick.
think that's not on the agenda. That's a committee report, but yes, we need
What's
to
that?
do some work on that and put that on the agenda when we have more information. There was
But what more information? What I'm wanting to know is I'm wanting to ask the attorney, and I'll call him and ask him myself directly. The hell, this is the third company into this thing.
like, let's
The way
wait till
they had
it's,
described it when it went from Natel to Liberty is Liberty was.
It
they
was
took
assigned,
over all of those contracts.
right?
yep, okay, moving on. They had another segment on the election process up there, and it was really interesting. So for people concerned about the internet is not a concern because our elections and our experts in the room, but it was a very good segment for supervisors to hear. It's not on the internet, so you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, none of our election results, none of our machines touch
Touch the
network at
internet.
all. The results are transmitted from a little jump drive essentially into a computer that's never been on the internet ever.
Yep.
And then we use once and done jump drives from that into the computer and it never goes back into that laptop. And everything is spot checked before we send it to the state. Shannon and I, we run those reports. Or our officials do, and then we double check each other. This is what my machine says, this is what mine says, to make sure that they match before we
Yeah,
send it.
it was a good segment. It was with the auditors
And then
also,
there's
and it
one
was,
under lock and key for how many years?
I also just want to throw out there, because people have concerns, that we have done post-election audits now for every single election, and we've never had one count be off. That tells me that the machines are doing what they are supposed to.
Well, I can tell you, we hand counted them 3 times and they were not off.
And that was a recount, so different, we have to,
Yeah.
there's one precinct that's randomly chosen after the election, and it's whatever is the top race. So obviously for this one, it would be president, but we will hand count that one specific precinct.
Yeah.
And we've never been off. I believe those started back in 2018, but don't quote me on that. It was around that time frame.
You know, Abby. I love that information. It's too bad we couldn't have you speak to that in a meeting so everybody can hear.
We can put
We
that on
can-
the
We
agenda.
can do that.
It'll,
I'm too busy.
She just did.
It won't be September 10th,
It is.
she's got other stuff
we're
going
still
on
on
that
Zoom.
day. Yeah, we are.
Oh, well, there you go. You're
Sheriff
star.
yeah.
So, of course, ambulance services were brought up in hot topics in House File 718. Van Buren County is really struggling with that financially. The statewide mailing for the tax that everybody received, what was that in March? Cost $875,000 all over the state. So there you go.
So I know you took the budgets up. I know Dale took the budgets up. So what came of that?
That was just discussion. He's working on meeting with Senator, he talked to Senator Rosenboom on the way up
Yeah.
and Dawson, so raising awareness.
I just don't know how Ken could not have been aware. He was a county supervisor.
I know. So anyway, that was kind of the gist of it. What do we have? Allow claims and approve reports. Do you want to look at those?
I've already looked at it.
Oh,
You have, haven't you? Did you look at this one?
I did look at it. I do have one area, I wonder what that is.
What's that?
Just a second. Critical hire. Under the sheriff's office, what is critical hire?
See if anybody's on there.
Just curious, because
They're not on anymore.
We didn't authorize the hiring of anybody recently.
no, sorry, and this was. It drew my attention.
Sure.
Oh, $150. It's probably some kind of supplies.
Oh, I'll bet that's the name of the company.
Yeah, Abby's looking it up. It'll be in the,
It's toward the back,
it'll be
totally
in there.
back. Sketchy.
Oh, and the other thing they set up there is it probably the public health. Chris, and you can correct me, I think you're on here, probably that transition, whatever it is that they don't know yet, won't happen till for a couple of years.
What is that?
They discovered that doing the mental health one was probably a little faster than maybe they
Impacted their mental health. didn't it?
should have, may not have gone as fast as it did, and the only reason it has gone as well as it has is because that was already in place.
Right.
Right. Indeed, to your point, they don't know for sure. I mean, they really don't know yet. Plus, they don't know what that's going to look like. They don't know.
They don't know anything.
There's still going to be a presence of local public health, and we are not going to be state employees. So there's still going to have to be funding put forth from the counties. It's not going to be like mental health where they're state employees. So we have like an hour and 30-minute presentation by Dr. Cruz and Ken Sharp. So I wish I could tell you more, but I can't because they don't know yet.
So Chris,
Yeah.
in that conversation, like they did with mental health, when the redesign came through, shall we say, putting the cart before the horse, they started mandating that the county, when it was not run by the state, implement quote core services.
Well, and we're already doing services that are required by Iowa code, communicable disease follow-up, immunization, CHOP chip. So we're already doing a lot of those things. And I think to Dee's point, she's correct, because with the whole mental health, they've gone through so many changes and it still is a struggle. So I don't think they want to take an additional 19 services and then start with public health and try to figure out what that would look like as a region or a district. So they're trying to put the brakes on it a little bit.
Well, yeah, but what I was referencing was they added core services when they did the mental health redesign.
I don't think they're gonna add anything, Lee. I think they're trying to
Okay.
streamline things, and then the whole funding thing will be, instead of having each county have their grants, it'll be more of a regional distribution with like a fiscal agent. Is
That
kind of what
was-
that is.
That was
Okay.
pushed back at the supervisors because.
Yeah, no, they asked for, they
where
asked
are
for
we adding-
volunteers to come and speak, and I said no, because I was talking to somebody else, Dee, so I know there were several public health directors that went and talked to the supervisor group.
Yeah.
I was not one of them.
But what we heard was there'd be a regional, like administrative something.
Right, like a
But
hub.
we're like, why are we adding a level? You know, that was the pushback.
Right. I think it will be easier for the state to not manage 99 county contracts and then handle a regional contract hub.
Right.
Is kind of what that is, instead of trying to manage, because it's a lot at the state level to try to manage all the contracts. So it'd be, and then that regional hub or ASO would be the distributor of the funds and have the oversight. Is kind of what is what Ken and Dr. Cruz said. But we don't know exactly what that's going to look like, nor do we know exactly if they're going to use the mental health map that was just released, or if they're going to come up with yet a different map. We don't know for sure. They didn't indicate that. And believe me, we asked numerous questions. They just don't know.
No. All right.
So, okay. Any other questions about that?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Bye, Chris.
Bye, thanks.
Do we have a motion for claims?
Motion to approve claims in the amount of $76,570.65.
I'll second it. Any discussion? All in
I'm
favor?
just still concerned why critical.
What did you see?
What did you find out here? What was it?
Has to do with. The check was written to critical hire. Was it Urbandale, Iowa, we looked at? And I just wonder what that was for. Are we hiring somebody? Are we testing somebody?
$150, I would say it's a part or like pair, I don't know, it's called part.
It's already been, the service I'm sure has already been done.
Yeah, I'm guessing
Yeah.
that it's
I just wonder what it was.
a component, somebody's gun or something.
Right, it's probably the name of the company, it's probably not.
Okay,
A hire.
and I don't know, and you guys don't know.
Right.
I'd just like to know.
Oh, excuse me. You get up early this morning?
Yes.
But you
And
did-
she was still late.
Yes, I did.
Did you? Well, congratulations.
I was late because it was my kid's first day of school.
Critical care. Hire.
Really anxious to go.
Yes.
Did they have to wait for you to get ready?
Nope. I was ready before that.
Right,
Did you pick
I
some? hot
texted him, I
breakfast?
don't know if he knows.
Yes.
Pop tarts. Well, we're.
Do you want to go ahead and approve these or you want to wait? I texted him, I don't know if he'll.
I thought you guys did approve it.
No,
Didn't?
just made
We
it.
haven't voted.
Parts why?
We're not gonna know that, let's go.
He's got.
I mean, it's $150, I'm guessing it's a company,
It is, I found all.
all right,
Hang on.
catchy name for a company.
Yeah.
Is Jerry Marcellus on the call? He would know.
Yep.
Hey, I got a quick question. Do you know what the company Critical Hire, we bought something, what that might be for $150? Yes, they're on call, so I couldn't ask that. I just thought maybe you might be familiar with the company. Yes, that's who the check was made out to, was Critical Hire. I don't know, is that your stage name?
Are you talking to Jerry Marcellus? You'd be nice to him.
It's-
Oh, like a background check?
Oh, that makes sense.
Okay, I got it. Okay,
Oh, I got it. Bart answered MMPI test that is required by all employees.
okay, all right, perfect. All right, thanks.
You know,
Thanks.
I guess I never saw that they had been billed for that test before.
Yeah.
That's- Should be the Minneapolis.
He thought it was for a jail, a jailer or something, but
Is Zoom still on?
It is, we're still in session. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
Going to the boy room.